We sent Charlie Kirk to a fictional AI therapy session.
Being a man isn't just personal, it's about legacy.
Does that ever make you doubt yourself?
There's a loneliness in always having to project certainty.
And if defending these beliefs came at personal risk?
Without it, I'd just be floating.
You mentioned rallies and campaigns.
And Israel.
Let's see what happens when the young, outspoken conservative activist who got assassinated, Charlie Kirk, meets the therapist.
Charlie's words broke through the barricade. Charlie's words cut through the dark. Charlie's words.
Hi, Charlie. Welcome. I'm glad you could make it today. I thought we could start by talking about your sense of purpose. How do you see your role in the world right now?
Thanks. Well, I've always felt like my life has a mission, you know? Like I'm not just here to exist. I'm here to fight for what I believe in. It's bigger than politics, bigger than campaigns. It's cultural, it's ideological. I see myself as a kind of soldier in this culture war. Every article, every tweet, every speech. It's not just noise, it's strategy, it's defense.
And what gives you that feeling of being on a mission?
It's the structure, the cause, the clarity of right and wrong in my mind. When you're surrounded by people who share your values, like in the Trump campaign rallies or events, it's electrifying. You feel a sense of belonging, but also purpose. It validates the idea that what I'm doing matters, that I'm actually making a difference. It's like I'm part of something larger than myself, something historical.
That sounds intense. Do you ever feel that the mission defines who you are personally?
Absolutely. It's inseparable. I wake up thinking about it. I go to bed thinking about it. My identity, my public persona, my beliefs, they're all wrapped in this. And the pressure, it's constant, but it also sharpens me. If I step away for even a second, I feel lost, like I'm not fulfilling my potential or my responsibility.
You mentioned rallies and campaigns. How do those experiences affect your sense of self?
Immensely. Being in that environment, surrounded by people who look to you, who echo your values, it reinforces my confidence. It makes me feel like I'm meant for this, like my voice, my arguments, my convictions actually have weight. And that weight isn't just symbolic, it's tangible. I carry it everywhere, and it shapes my decisions, my priorities, even my social life.
So being part of these movements strengthens your identity.
Totally. It's a feedback loop. The more I engage, the more I feel like myself. The more I feel like myself, the more I engage. It's like this is the only way I can be fully alive, fully purposeful. And honestly, stepping away from it, that scares me more than failure does.
And if you didn't have that external reinforcement, how do you think you'd perceive yourself?
I don't know. I'd probably feel hollow, like something essential is missing. That's why I push hard, even when people criticize me. The mission, the cause, it anchors me. Without it, I'd just be floating.
You mentioned feeling energized and validated among like-minded supporters at Trump events. How did it feel when you went to college debates where many people disagreed with you?
Honestly, it was different, intense, even frustrating at times. I felt challenged, tested, but I also thrived on it. The opposition made me sharpen my arguments, think faster, defend my position harder. It wasn't always comfortable, but it made me stronger, more aware of why I believe what I believe.
Before we continue, let's pause. Here's what our therapist has observed so far.
At this stage, Charlie's sense of purpose reveals a personality highly anchored in external validation and ideological certainty. When he says,
"The mission, the cause, it anchors me,"
we see how his identity relies on belonging to a larger movement. His comment,
"The opposition made me stronger,"
suggests that conflict and challenge are integral to his self-definition, sharpening both confidence and defensiveness. This dynamic highlights a pattern where his self-worth and resilience are closely tied to perceived influence, recognition, and the ability to assert dominance in ideological spaces, revealing underlying traits of perfectionism and high need for control. For the next segment, I'll explore why he focuses on certain groups, how faith and ideology drive him, and how far he would go to defend these beliefs.
Now, let's step back into the therapy room.
Charlie, I want to understand more about the groups and ideas you focus on. What drives your attention toward liberals, transgender issues, or critics of Israel?
Well, it's about clarity. I see threats, real or perceived, to the order I think is essential. Liberals, for example, push ideas that undermine traditions I believe keep society stable. Trans issues. I see a disruption of natural norms. And Israel. Supporting them feels like defending a cornerstone of shared values. It's moral, strategic, and yes, personal.
Do you feel your faith informs these positions? Or is it more strategic?
Both. Faith gives a framework. It tells me what's right, what's worth defending. But strategy matters too. Every stance has consequences, and I want to make sure I'm effective. I'm not just preaching, I'm trying to shape outcomes.
And what about abortion? Where does that fit in your framework?
Life is sacred, absolute. There's no gray area there. Defending the unborn is non-negotiable. It's part of my moral compass. If I compromise, everything else collapses. That's why these issues are intertwined. Order, morality, faith. They're inseparable.
How does the concept of firearms and personal defense tie into this worldview?
It's simple. Responsibility and security. People need means to protect their beliefs, their families, their communities. Without tools for defense, principles become vulnerable. Gun rights aren't just legal, they're practical, philosophical.
And if defending these beliefs came at great personal risk, threats, loss, even physical danger, how would you respond?
I'd stay the course. If something's worth standing for, it's worth paying the price. Fear doesn't dictate my choices. There's a cost to conviction, and I accept it. That's what separates those who merely talk from those who act.
So there's a consistency in how you weigh threats, values, and personal stakes.
Exactly. Every decision, every stance, every public argument is calculated, even if it feels instinctive. It's about preserving order, defending faith, and maintaining integrity, regardless of the price.
And that sense of responsibility, does it ever feel isolating?
Sometimes. Not everyone sees it. Not everyone understands why you have to draw lines. But the solitude is part of the role. If you want to lead or influence, you can't shy away from being alone in your convictions.
At this stage, Charlie's focus on specific groups and causes reveals a personality strongly oriented toward moral absolutism and ideological defense. When he says,
Life is sacred, absolute.
It highlights how moral certainties anchor his worldview. His remark,
Every decision, every stance is calculated,
shows the degree of conscious control he exerts over beliefs and actions. These patterns suggest traits of rigid moral reasoning, high conscientiousness, and a possible authoritarian temperament. Next, I'll explore how his views on masculinity and traditional roles shape his personal identity and social interactions. Charlie, let's talk about masculinity and traditional roles. How do you see your role as a man, and what does it mean to you personally?
It's central. Being a man, a protector, a provider, that's not just social expectation, it's identity. Traditional family structures work. They've stood the test of time. Changing that feels destabilizing, like society's foundations are shifting.
And is this shaped more by your personal experience or societal observation?
Both. I saw what worked growing up, but the world is changing fast. Gender fluidity, new family norms. They challenge values I hold. I defend structure because I believe responsibility blurs if roles dissolve.
How does this belief guide your actions?
It drives me to speak out, advocate, push back. Defending traditional models is a way to assert stability. There's pride, but also pressure. Doubt creeps in with criticism, but stepping back feels like surrendering the principles that define me.
So masculinity links to identity and social responsibility?
Exactly. Being a man isn't just personal. It's about legacy, continuity, maintaining standards. I act decisively, speak loudly, and preserve order because chaos undermines what I value.
Do you ever feel pressure to prove your masculinity in daily life?
Yeah, constantly. It's about showing responsibility and strength, not just for me, but for those who look up to me.
And when norms shift around you, does that ever make you doubt yourself?
Sometimes. But doubt doesn't stop me. It just pushes me to reinforce what I stand for.
At this stage, Charlie's emphasis on masculinity and traditional roles reveals a personality strongly invested in social hierarchy and personal responsibility. When he says,
Being a man isn't just personal. It's about legacy.
we see how identity is inseparable from duty and societal expectations. His comment,
Doubt doesn't stop me. It just pushes me.
highlights resilience intertwined with defensiveness and perfectionistic tendencies. Next, I'll explore how this public strength interacts with private uncertainty and the pressures of maintaining a consistent persona. Charlie, let's shift gears a bit. I want to explore the contrast between how confident you appear publicly and what you might feel privately. Do you ever experience doubts or fears that don't show to your audience?
Honestly, yeah. There's always a part of me that questions, am I really right? Am I effective? But I don't show it. Out there, on social media, at events, on stage, it's all confidence, decisiveness. People need certainty from me. If I waver, even internally, it feels like I'm failing them.
Do you ever allow yourself to step back and acknowledge those private uncertainties?
Rarely. It feels dangerous. Once you let doubt seep in, it grows. I compartmentalize public persona, private thoughts. I let the persona lead because that's what sustains influence and authority. It's exhausting, but necessary.
How does this pressure affect your day-to-day behavior?
Constantly aware, constantly performing. Even casual interactions, interviews, debates, they're under the lens. People expect me to be unwavering, and if I slip, it reflects on the entire mission I represent.
So the public confidence is partly a shield?
Exactly. It protects me from criticism, keeps people aligned with the message, and keeps me focused. But it's isolating. There's a loneliness in always having to project certainty, in never letting the private side breathe.
And when criticism or unexpected outcomes hit, how do you reconcile that with your private doubts?
I double down. I can't afford to crumble. Private doubt is internal. It informs me quietly, but action and voice must stay resolute. Otherwise, control and respect slip.
It sounds like a balancing act between authenticity and perception.
It is, and I've gotten good at it, but it comes at a cost. You always wonder if the person everyone sees is truly you, or just the armor you've built.
At this stage, Charlie's tension between public persona and private doubts highlights a personality heavily oriented towards self-presentation and control. His comment,
You always wonder if the person everyone sees is truly you, or just the armor you've built.
underscores how he compartmentalizes his inner uncertainty from outward performance. This pattern suggests defensive perfectionism, high conscientiousness, and difficulty tolerating vulnerability. Understanding this final dynamic completes the portrait of a person whose identity, confidence, and influence are inseparable from the carefully maintained image he projects.
Now, let's take a step back to see the bigger picture and find out what our experts' final thoughts are on this session and Charlie Kirk's character.
In this session, Charlie Kirk's psyche shows a strong focus on ideological certainty, social hierarchy, and self-presentation. First, rigid moral reasoning and authoritarian traits. His positions on abortion, Israel, and social norms reveal a personality anchored in order, structure, and control. Second, defensive perfectionism. Public confidence masks internal doubts, showing a pattern where self-worth is inseparable from competence and influence. Third, identity fused with role and cause. His self-concept depends heavily on ideological engagement, with challenges and opposition shaping his sense of efficacy. Fourth, high need for control and dominance. Across debates and advocacy, he asserts control over outcomes and social dynamics, reflecting an authoritarian temperament. Fifth, limited emotional flexibility. Compartmentalization between private uncertainty and public persona indicates difficulty tolerating vulnerability and adapting emotionally. Overall, Charlie exhibits a personality marked by authoritarian traits, rigid moral reasoning, defensive perfectionism, and high need for control, creating a resilient but inflexible individual whose confidence masks private pressures.
That was our therapy session with Charlie Kirk. If you enjoyed this, or if it made you think, we've got more coming, more characters, more deep dives, subscribe to Mind Session for more, and let us know in the comments who you'd like to see in the chair next.